Hi everyone, it's me, Alley Cat, and this is one of my many upcoming costuming tutorials. And I'm actually going to be starting a Kickstarter soon, and it's going to have a lot of video tutorials and an ebook, and I'm also going to have printed patterns that I show you how to cut and shape to your body and the costume choice. And so stay tuned for that in the upcoming months. It's going to be awesome, I promise. So today is a tutorial on PVC thermoplastic, or some people know it as Sintra, which is the name brand. And I'll start this tutorial at a beginner's level, making a Scarlet Witch headpiece. And you can use the method and the tools that I'm going to show you in this tutorial to make any similar headpiece, like a huntress, or you can even use it to make helmets. The next episode that I'm going to do is a little more advanced, but it's going to be an ancient Nord helmet from Skyrim. So I'll post that soon.
Scarlet Witch headpiece. Step 1. Making the template. What you'll need is a large piece of paper. I use craft paper, some tape, scissors, permanent marker or Sharpie, and a reference photo. So here's our reference photo of Scarlet Witch. The headpiece is pretty simple. We can freehand it.
So to get the basic rough shape of the headpiece, you're going to need to do a couple of measurements. So first you're going to need to measure from the middle of your forehead to your chin. So take your measuring tape and just roughly about there, which is 7 inches. So write that down. And then you're going to need the middle of your forehead to your temple, which for me is about 4 inches. So write that down too.
So that 7-inch measurement that I took from the middle of my forehead to my chin, we're going to draw that down the middle of the large piece of paper because that's going to be the center of the head. So just draw down that line and make sure you've got it correctly, 7 inches, or however long your measurement is. And then the other measurement from the middle of your forehead to your temple, which for me was 4 inches, you're going to draw on the side perpendicular. So you're basically going to make a rectangle, which is going to be the very, very rough sketch of the side of your face. So make that rectangle. And then what we're going to do is do our rough sketch of the headpiece. So the top of that rectangle will be the peak of the headpiece, and draw a couple inches down for the bottom peak. And then draw that curve from the temple to the bottom peak. And then you're going to have a very, very, very slight curve down to the chin. Just barely a curve at all. So then you're going to draw the basic shape of the headpiece. And since it's pretty simple, we're just going to freehand it, going from the bottom of the chin and then making the arch to the top of the peak. And then you're going to peel up your paper and you're going to fold it in half along that line that you made that's basically the middle of your face. And we're folding it in half so that when we cut it, it's going to be the full crown piece. So then you're just going to cut along your lines and make sure you keep the paper flat so you have a nice mirror image on both sides of the fold. So once you've finished cutting everything out, you can open it up and take a look at it, and once you spread it out, you see that that's your template. You've got your headpiece ready to go, ready to trace onto the PVC. Scarlet Witch headpiece, step 2, cutting the PVC. So what you're going to need this time is your PVC, your permanent marker, your template that you just made, box cutter, and a cutting surface. clean off the PVC, wait for it to dry, and then you're going to place your template. I went ahead and retraced mine onto a piece of cardstock just to make it a little harder. And then you're just going to go ahead and use your permanent marker and trace it onto the PVC. Just make sure that you keep clean lines, because we're really going to need clean lines to cut this out. So now that you have your piece traced out, you take your box cutter, and this part's important. What you're going to do is just score along all of the lines that you just drew. So you're not cutting through the plastic. You're going to cut about a third to half of the way through. And then when you're ready to cut, you put your cutting surface underneath. I'm just using a cheap cutting board. If you have those healing mats, that's great. And you're going to push a lot harder, but you're going to keep your blade in that scored groove that you made. So it's going to make cutting through a lot easier. And you might have to go over it 2 or 3 times, but you shouldn't have to go over it more than 2 or 3 times. And then you see here that it's kind of popping up in little pieces as I go. So there's your finished cutout piece, nice and pretty. But it's not completely smooth. We've got very straight edges, and we also have some parts where it's not that smooth of a curve. So what we're going to want to do is take a Dremel and sand down those sharp peaks and sand down a kind of bevel where it actually is going to touch your face, because you don't want those sharp edges cutting into your skin. So you're going to take your Dremel, or if you have something for a hand sander, and just sand down the edges and all the really sharp pointy bits. And then on the side that is going to be against your face, you're going to bevel all the edges so that nothing sharp is actually pointing at you. And then for the little piece in the middle, you're going to sand that down pretty good so that that's not going to poke you. Now Scarlet Witch Headpiece 3, heat forming the headpiece. What you'll need this time is your cut piece, a heat gun, and then just something to form to. I'm using a mannequin's head. You can use a juice bottle, a 2-liter bottle, something round. So there's a couple settings on my heat gun. It's just a regular like $20 heat gun. I'm going to use the high setting. And you might want to use gloves for this. I'm in a room that has a fan, so you probably also want to be somewhere ventilated. And you're just going to go a few inches away, maybe 4 to 6 inches away, and don't focus on just one spot. Move it all around on both sides. And you see it starts to bend on its own. And then you're just going to simply put it against your form and hold it there a bit until it cools down. It's actually quite a quick process. And then you're just going to look at what else you need to do, what other shapes. So I saw that the pieces near the chin need to come in a little bit. So I'm just going to heat that up. Again, a few inches away, keep it moving. And then I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of make a little bit of a flare out. So now you see I've got the bottom parts flared so that they frame the face better. Now I want to flare the top part so that it comes out a bit instead of in. So I'm just going to heat that piece up. And again, you might want to use gloves because it is really hot. I'm used to it. I've burned myself a million times, but touching this stuff is really hot. And I'm showing a technique using your hands. So you're just going to gently form it to the shape you want. No really harsh movements here, just a little bit at a time, just forming it. So now you see I've got the shape that I want. It looks a lot more three-dimensional, and if you put it on the little form, you can see that it's got the shape that I want on all sides. Scarlet Witch headpiece step 4, finishing. We're finally going to finish. What you'll need: red spray paint, clear elastic, and a hot glue gun. For the spray paint, pretty basic. You're just going to spray paint it. So no thick coats, just thin coats over and over. So I've got a high temperature hot glue gun, and you see that I let the paint dry overnight, so everything's nice and shiny and got that crimson red that I wanted. And you want to paint inside and outside on this one because you're going to see it. So you also need your clear elastic, and this can be found also where you buy bra strap material at the fabric store. It stretches pretty well, so you're going to want to keep it pretty tight to your head. And you're also going to want to glue it pretty close to the face because you don't want it pulling in those edges that you flared out. So just take a little dollop of glue near the inside and place your strap. And then make sure that when you flip to the other side that the strap is flat. You don't want any kinks or anything because since it's clear, you won't really see it over your hair if you're putting it over the hair. So you just want to make sure that you're gluing it in the proper.
Alright, so now we have a finished headpiece. And I'm going to put it on. So there you go, all of a sudden transformed into the Scarlet Witch. I think it looks pretty cool. So thanks everyone for watching, and if you have any questions, go ahead and give me a message on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thealleycats, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, help with any cosplays, and you'll also find tons of really cool stuff on my page. So have a great day.